In this lesson, we'll see how to manage SSL certificates in AWS. We will review the basics of SSL. So we have already seen this diagram. We have our user who is going to connect to our load balancer in HTTPS, this time with an encrypted connection from the internet. What will happen with the load balancer? Well, we'll have a connection termination, and then the traffic will be forwarded to our instance in HTTP on the private network. The load balancer uses an X509 SSL TLS certificate, which are server certificates. These certificates can be managed with AWS Certificate Manager. You can create your own certificate and upload it to AWS. At the HTTPS listener level, a default certificate must be specified. A list of certificates can be added here to support multiple domain names for multiple websites. A client machine uses the server name indication service to identify the server they are trying to reach. Policies to support older version of SSL/TLS on legacy clients with legacy security policies are also possible. When it comes to NIS addresses, there is a problem regarding the loading of multiple certificates on a single server for multiple websites. This is a new protocol that requires the client to specify the name of the target server during the first SSL negotiation. The server will then find the corresponding certificate or provide a default certificate if available. Note that this only works with ELB and NLB next generation load balancer or CloudFront, but does not work with the classic load balancer. Let's take an example. We have our LIB and therefore our load balancer for our applications. We have two linked websites, www.ut.com and www.munok.com, which will correspond to two target groups. And for these two target groups, we'll have two certificates corresponding to the websites of the target. Our client will ask our load balancer, I want to connect to www.ut.com. At this point, our load balancer will search its certificates for the corresponding certificate, and then redirect us to the right target group. If we're not given any particular indication, or if you want to go to the default site, the default behavior of our load balancer will be to provide us with the certificate that it has by default, and that will take us to munok.com. Now about Elastic Load Balancer and SSL. Here we're going to talk about all our load balancers. So we have the CLB, which is in version 1. It only supports one SSL certificate, and if you want to publish several websites, we'll need several load balancers, several CLBs with several certificates for each website. In the case of the application load balancer, so ALB, which is in version 2, new generation, it supports multiple SSL certificates. It uses server name indication to operate. And similarly, our network load balancer, NLB, in the next generation also supports multiple SSL certificates and will also need SNI to work. Now let's see in our console how this will manifest itself. We'll click on our CLB, and then the listeners will modify the listener here by adding the secure HTTPS protocol port 443. And here we can choose the encryption method. Here we have the choice between several protocols and several options. We save once we have made our choice, and there we can indicate a certificate we want to select. We can load a certificate into IAM. We don't have one at the moment. we can select an existing certificate, but we haven't loaded one yet, so for the moment we'll just view it. We can also choose a certificate that is stored in ACM, which is the method recommended by AWS. Once this is done, we can connect in HTTPS with an authenticated certificate through our CLB. Now let's look at our ALB. Here we can add a listener in the same way. This will be an HTTPS listener. The default action, let's say, forward to my target group. Here you can define the security strategy. We can also choose a certificate either from ACM or from IAM or from import. We are not going to do that here, so allow us to add different rules here and redirect them to different target groups and add multiple certificates. So I'm out. Now we're going to look at our network load balancer. We're going to look at the listeners, and in the same way I'm going to be able to add a listener. This time it will be a TLS listener. So in the same way we'll be able to choose a certificate either from ACM or from IAM or from importing. That's it for SNI and load balancers.